2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'll be with you in just a second. This is meteorologist Steve Horstmeyer. I think I've got everything ready to go. Just have to check on whether or not YouTube is running. It should be. And we'll see what's happening. But we do have a couple first alert weather days on the way. Those first alert weather days, one because of severe storms, the other because of heavy rain, and unfortunately the rain could be heavy on the 4th of July, and we'll look at that in just a moment. So we'll see what's happening, but we do have okay, and I've got weather days on the way. You might hear that. I do have confirmation that we are live on YouTube, so welcome to those of you watching live on YouTube. This will also be archived, so if you want to go back and look at it, you can do that. Overall, 2 more buttons to push. There we go. You can't believe what it takes to get this thing on streaming, but like 30 different steps for YouTube, about 15 for Facebook, a couple more buttons to push, but here we go. This is our live tower cam shot looking at downtown Cincinnati. What I want you to notice is the flag there on top of the U.S. Bank building. It's blowing out of a stiff northeasterly breeze. Now that breeze will die down a little bit overnight, but those northeasterly winds, courtesy of a big, pleasant high-pressure system that's going to be slow to let us go. As a matter of fact, that means a really nice start to your day on Tuesday. So essentially, we are in for another really nice day tomorrow, but it's going to be nice. Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Horstmeyer. I'm the chief meteorologist here at Fox 19 Now. This is our live 7:15 weather streaming show. And I know a lot of you have seen it already, but until this becomes better established, I want to explain what's going on here. Our goal here at Fox 19 is to give you as much weather information as you could possibly use. And then, of course, in times of emergency, this is immediate. So we want to make it available to you as often as possible during the day. We want to make it as available to you on as many platforms as possible so that you can, A, use your favorite platform, B, use one that works better for you. But we just want to make it available often on many platforms, and by having more often weather, it can be more accurate because we always fine-tune the forecast. If you hear of a TV meteorologist who said, oh, I put my feet up because the forecast was done, that's not a very good meteorologist. The forecast is never done. The forecast is always a process of tweaking and adjusting and making sure things get right, and we try to do that as best as we can here at Fox 19. So 7:15 p.m. Monday through Friday, I've got this live streaming weather show, and we had a few issues getting it launched on Facebook Live. I mean, it was always available. You had to watch it while it was on Facebook. Now it's available archived so that if you join us late, you can go back and watch it from the beginning. You can watch it the next day. Or as I like to jokingly say, you can go back and look at it a week later and see if we were right or wrong in the forecast. And we're not afraid to admit when we're wrong, but luckily we don't seem to think that happens very, very often. Okay, so you can get this from Facebook. You can get this on YouTube. You can get this on Roku TV. You can get this on Apple TV. Now I've got a Roku TV with all that stuff's built in, so the Apple TV doesn't work for this in that system. But if you have the black box with those rounded corners, or a newer version of it, that will enable you to access this. And you can get it from our website, fox19now.com. You can get it from our 2 apps, our weather app and our news app. So those are the ways you can get that. Okay, let's get into the weather and talk a little bit more about what is coming our way. Okay, first of all, I want to take a look at this. Now, and again, I'll put myself on here to explain a few things. First of all, this right here is where the jet stream is. And this is that really hot and steamy air. It's just taking a break. It's really nice right here now, but we're going to see what happens with this as we go through this animation. So let's see. You know what? This really bugs me. There. How about that? That thing's gone now. If anybody that knows me, there are certain things that bug me, and I'm not afraid to say it. So that really bugged me. Now it's gone, or at least it's at the bottom of the screen, and it won't bother us anymore. Okay, so let's watch the pink there. Okay. Oh, there we go. The pink is moving into the Fox 19 Now viewing area. We're in the very northern edge of it during the day tomorrow, and that would put the heat index anywhere 91 on the average, but there will be a few spots where it hits 96 or 97 during the day. It stays with us on Wednesday, 100 for the heat index. Many spots a little hotter than that, and Wednesday is a first alert weather day. Then it takes a break. Notice how that pinkish color pushes off to the south, and we don't have it coming back for quite some time. As a matter of fact, by the 10th of the month, we still don't see the really hot and steamy stuff returning to the tri-state. Okay, another thing we're watching is the tropics, and we watch those all the time. Hurricane Beryl, it's a Category 4 hurricane with 150 mile an hour sustained winds. That means the gust to about 180. It's got a very low pressure there, and the winds, it's moving toward the west-northwest at 21 miles an hour. That's very fast for a hurricane. It does not look like it's going to have any impact on the United States. So here's a wider view, and if you look at this, you can see these are the Windward Islands. This is Barbados right here. So that it's a nice place to be. And so it's moving through that, moving off to the north and west. Looks like it may become an issue for Jamaica right here. And I think Dominican Republic and Haiti will stay on the periphery of it. But let's look at the forecasted track. Now, this is the track that's forecast by the National Hurricane Center. And you can see where it is right now. That's a Category 4. They expect it to stay as a Category 4 over open waters north of South America. And then as it moves to the north and west, it definitely looks like it's going to impact Jamaica right here. So it looks like the eye will stay off the coast of Jamaica, but because it circulates like this, the eastern edge of Jamaica will get onshore winds, and that could mean high surf, and all high surf. That could mean coastal flooding from the high winds pushing the water on shore, kind of like a storm surge flooding. And it all depends upon the specific location that you are on the Jamaica coast. Some areas have a higher cliffside coast, some are lower, but the lower areas will have to watch out for that. And then they have it progressing to the north and west. It stays out over open water. They do have it continually decreasing. Now, over the weekend, I was looking at this and I looked at wind shear. Thing is a lone thunderstorm is a tower that stands up like this. It's like a chimney, the air rushing upward through that in the thunderstorm. If you increase the wind shear, the storms begin to tilt. Okay, and each storm and hurricane will do that. So if you, by increasing the wind shear, you can change the direction or you can change the velocity, and usually both happen. And so what happens in effect is that as you increase the wind shear, the individual thunderstorm cells in a hurricane begin to tilt. And if you increase the wind shear too much, they tilt to the point where they no longer can maintain their updraft in that slant, and they literally begin to fall apart. And so what's happening here is the reason they've got it going over this very warm water as a Cat 4 and then weakening to a 3, to a 2, and then to a 1 before it gets to the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico is because of increasing wind shear. There's a lot of wind shear to the north of this track, and it's beginning to interact with that wind shear from Jamaica westward, and that is why it's decreasing in intensity. Because the water here is still very, very warm, but wind shear, again, is going to take those thunderstorms, and they're going to begin to tilt. And now I've exaggerated the angle here a little bit, but once it gets past a critical angle, it can no longer maintain the updraft very well, and it begins to fall apart. And so this here, right here, this is the Yucatan Peninsula. For those of you that have been to Cozumel, that's right there. Right up here is the resort areas around Cancun. It's where my wife and I got married, Cancun. And so you can see it's going to stay to the south here. It's going to go very close to the city of Merida and then out into the Gulf. And they still have it maintaining tropical storm strength here into the Bay of Campeche. But again, wind shear an issue, so it doesn't not look at this point like it is going to re-intensify. However, the water down here is very, very warm. And so if that wind shear over the next couple of days, remember this is Friday, this is Saturday already. If the wind shear, because the adjustment of the pressure systems begins to decrease, this could re-strengthen and it could become an issue for the coast of Mexico and right up here southern Texas. That's not expected to happen, but it is a possibility, just to let you know about that. So there again is a look at that track. By Saturday at noon, 65 mile an hour winds over the Bay of Campeche. That's that bay there between Yucatan Peninsula and mainland Mexico. And again, we have to watch out for the shear. The wind shear is forecast to stay pretty strong, so that's good news for them. Now for us, this is from 8 a.m. Wednesday to 8 a.m. Thursday. The Storm Prediction Center has put us in a slight risk of severe thunderstorms. Now, Lewis County, part of it is only in a marginal risk. The rest of it is slight. That's a level 2 out of 5 on the risk scale, and so that is something to take seriously. In addition, the Weather Prediction Center has an excessive rainfall threat from 8 a.m. Thursday to 8 a.m. Friday, and that's why we have a marginal risk of excessive rainfall Thursday. Unfortunately, that's the 4th of July. Hate to have that happen. Because of that, that's why it is also a first alert weather day. Although, to be completely open about it, the severe weather is the reason for the Wednesday first alert weather day, and for Thursday, and not only is the rain could be heavy. When we say excessive rainfall, that means exceed the criteria for flash flooding. Now, the criteria for flash flooding are not always the same. If we've had a lot of rain and the soil is completely soaked or saturated with rainfall, the amount of rain required for flash flooding is less than if we've been dry. If we've been very dry and the sun has baked a lot of the soils, now remember, we've got a lot of clay in our soils around here, so if the sun has baked a lot of those soils dry kind of hard, you can also get flash flooding at a lower amount of rainfall because it hits the ground and it rolls off very fast, okay? And that's kind of what we're in now. So we're a marginal risk of excessive rainfall, which by definition is rainfall that would exceed flash flood guidance, meaning that flash flooding is possible. And so it's first alert weather day. For Wednesday, the first alert weather day in effect for severe thunderstorms afternoon and evening, and Thursday for heavy rain. And there could be some thunderstorms on Thursday, but we do not expect them to be severe. Here are the current temperatures, or current meaning 7 p.m. temperatures in the 70s around the tri-state. Heat index about the same as the temperatures. We've got a few high thin clouds moving out of the northwest. If we zoom out, those high thin clouds are associated with the next system coming our way. And tell you what, let me drag the map a little bit so you can see this. So we already have severe weather forecast from north of Bismarck, North Dakota into western Nebraska. That's a severe thunderstorm watch there in yellow. And across the southern and central parts of Nebraska, that's a tornado watch. And right now, we don't expect too much in the way of tornadic activity. We do expect gusty winds and heavy rain along with dangerous lightning on Wednesday, okay? So we're just going to keep an eye on it. Every severe weather system kind of evolves its own way. And all the elements always have to come together to get a severe weather system, but they all may be there in different amounts. And so some severe weather systems develop differently than others, and that's just one of those things you have to call as it happens. Sun's down at 9:08 this evening. By 11 p.m., we're looking at temperatures around 65, so we're going to fall about 12 degrees. Sunrise tomorrow morning at 6:16. Temperatures will fall off to about 58 degrees. It should be a delightful way to start the day. If you like this morning, it's going to be pretty much the same. And then tomorrow it does warm up into the upper 80s with heat index values into the lower 90s. So for the morning commute, dry roads, mostly clear. Some high thin cloud cover. There will be some sun glare out there. It'll be pleasant and temperatures in the mid to upper 50s around the tri-state. A few spots like city centers in the 60s. So here's what happens for the next 2 days, starting at 7 a.m. Tuesday morning. We've got temperatures in the upper 50s. Notice some of the cloud cover there coming out of the south, so we're starting to see a warm up. We make it up to 88, 89. Some spots may make it up to 90. And then during the day, not much going on. As we head on into Wednesday, we've got a little bit of shower activity that's going to begin to develop as we get into late Wednesday evening. You see it, Wednesday late morning, early afternoon. You can see, it's hard to see sometimes, but right down here, through Carroll County into Gallatin, Switzerland, Ohio, and Boone, Kenton, maybe Owen, a little bit of shower activity, just hit and miss light stuff. Wednesday, that's just the beginning of what we expect to happen. As we head into Wednesday, later in the day, as it warms up, a few more showers and thunderstorms. You can see off to the west, some there. And then there it is with the front coming our way. We think that probably after 4 o'clock until about 8 o'clock, we've got the chance for some severe thunderstorm activity. The main threat being straight line, strong, damaging winds, maybe a little bit of hail there. Then overall, it does begin to calm down, although we do have that chance of a shower or thunderstorm for the weekend. Okay, so it seems like we had a lot of rain on Saturday. I know at my house, based on how much the pool went up, I got about 3/4 of an inch. However, only a couple hundredths of an inch at CVG, and that's one of the issues with droughts and drought forecasting. So, like, my wife and I didn't water anything today, didn't water anything on Sunday. Everything was fine because of the rain, but most areas did not get that much rainfall, and so drought is still on the way to the tri-state. Now remember, the drought monitor is updated every Thursday. It's based on data up through Tuesday, and they not only look at like CVG, they look at the other rainfall observations. And much of the Fox 19 Now viewing area was in moderate drought last Thursday, as of last Thursday's drought monitor report, and it looks like we're going to see probably that or more. Even though it seems like we've had some rain, it hasn't really helped the situation. I'll show you here in just a second. Excuse me. Had to wet the whistle there a little bit. Basically, I've been talking all day. So here's the rainfall forecast from July 2nd, tomorrow through the 29th, so basically roughly the rest of the month. And again, this is cumulative, so it keeps increasing. As you add a little bit of rain, it jumps up. But it looks like by the 29th of July, we'll have 3 more inches of rainfall in the tri-state. Now, this is the model forecast from the CFS, or the Climate Forecast System, that's part of NOAA. And so we're looking at, in the next 4 weeks, maybe 3 inches of rainfall. Well, that's not the whole story. The other part of the story is how much do you need in that time. So if we take a look at how much you need, based on climatology, based on the forecast models, looks like from tomorrow through the 29th, we're going to need 6.2 inches of rainfall just to break even starting tomorrow. So from tomorrow to July 29th, we need 6.2 inches just to meet the demand, but we only have 3 inches in the forecast, so that's a 3.2 inch deficit. So let's do a little bookkeeping here. And I'm the guy that's not very good at bookkeeping, but there's only a few numbers here. So we're going to start off with our bookkeeping base at May 1st. Okay, so in May, by the end of the month, we were almost an inch. We were 89/100ths of an inch above normal with precipitation. You probably remember May was pretty wet, okay? Well, then we start off we get to June 1st. Between June 1st and today, okay, so through the 1st of July, we're 4 inches shy of normal. So from the 1st of June through today, we've had 4 inches less than we normally get at this time of year. Okay, our forecast demand is another 6.2 inches, so we put that in the book, in the balance sheet as a minus. And then the forecast accumulation is about 3 inches, so we're going to end up with about 6.39 inches of rainfall less than normal by the time we get to the 29th of July. Okay, that's a lot. We only get about 40 inches of rain here a year, and so this would be, geez, I mean, I'm trying to do the percentage in my head here really quick. I always can use my calculator, but so let's see this. So that's like 12% of our annual amount. So we're going to come up. Now, even if we only end up shy with half of this, that's still a lot of dry weather coming our way. And so we are talking about the possibility of very dry weather continuing on into the end of July and beginning August. Now, one of the things that farmers know is that each crop has got different requirements. For example, when I went to school in Nebraska, I was originally going into agricultural meteorology, but I switched. And corn is really big in Nebraska. It's the Cornhusker state, after all. Go Big Red, as I used to say. But so corn needs adequate moisture, obviously, to grow. But by the time it gets to the latter part of its life, too much moisture is a bad thing. It needs to dry out a little bit for harvest. And so every crop is a little bit different, and farmers know which of their crops need what kind of rainfall at what stage of the crop's life. But if you look at this, no matter what the crop is, this is bad news. Okay, 6.39 inches could be the shortfall from the 1st of May through the end of July around the tri-state. And again, there will be some spots because of the nature of warm season rainfall and pop-up thunderstorms here and there. We don't get, like in winter, we get those widespread areas where everybody gets rain. That's rare in the middle of summer. So it's not really good news that we may end up quite shy of what we need. Okay, now overnight we're going to drop off to 58, so it'll be a very enjoyable day on the way to work and school in the morning. If you go to school, I know most people don't, but there might be some college kids that are taking some summer classes going to school. So we've got some nice weather coming our way for tomorrow morning. During the day tomorrow, up to 89. The heat index will pop up to around 91 or 2 in spots. So it's hotter, but still not very humid. You're going to feel the humidity, but it's not oppressive. Now let's take a look at the latest. These just came in today after 3 p.m. And so as far as temperatures go, it's changed a lot from last week. The Climate Prediction Center says that we're going to see warmer than normal weather, but there's going to be a big chunk of the middle part of the country where it's going to be near normal. Okay, that's the first half of their forecast. Second half of their forecast says that kind of goes away, and everybody, except for maybe parts of Texas, warmer than normal around the lower 48. And then this came out Friday, will be updated this coming Friday. It still looks like coast to coast to the 26th, warmer than normal. So keep that in mind. Our little accounting sheet there went to the 29th of July. This goes to the 26th. So when you talk about how much rainfall you're going to need, the more you're above normal, the more rainfall you need to keep up and just keep things in balance. And we just don't have that in the forecast. Okay, here is the 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook. Way drier than normal in the Pacific Northwest, slightly wetter than normal in most of the east. So that's good. Maybe we'll be a little bit wetter than normal. And it stays kind of the same way. There's not much of a change from the 9th to the 15th of July. And from the 13th to the 26th, and this is less certain because we're going out farther, you can see that drier than normal weather dominates the center part of the country, and here at the Fox 19 Now viewing area, we're near normal. But remember, near normal precipitation won't make it better because we've got higher than normal needs, and so we're going to need more rainfall than that. 7-day forecast looks like this. Tuesday, a low of 58, a high of 89, a little bit more humid, but still nice. Some much needed rain Wednesday, but only spotty. And those thunderstorms could be severe. That's why Wednesday's the first alert weather day. So straight line winds the main risk with some hail, and of course all thunderstorms have dangerous lightning and possibility of heavy rain. Thursday for the 4th of July, I hate to say that because so many people love to see fireworks and all this other stuff, but there will be some shower and thunderstorm activity also. That shower and thunderstorm activity could come down as heavy rainfall in spots, and that's why it's a first alert weather day. First alert weather day just because lots of people are going to be out and about, so even a little rain will have a big impact, but a lot of rain will have a big, big impact. And so we just want to let you know Thursday's not looking too good. I've got my fingers crossed that the forecast changes. Friday, scattered showers and thunderstorms in the forecast. Isolated thunderstorms on Saturday. I'm kind of beginning to doubt that, so let's not play that up too much. And then, so after a fairly wet 4th, looks like the 5th, 6th, and 7th, the rest of the big holiday weekend should be okay for the most part. And then back to scattered thunderstorms and 90 with the heat index way up there on Monday. Beyond the 7-day forecast looks like this. It goes from the 9th to the 15th. We're almost to the middle of the month already on this one. And you can see not a lot of rainfall in the forecast, as we were talking about, upper 80s to lower 90s around the tri-state. So a little bit warmer than normal, but not that much warmer than normal. And here's that summary graphic for you. Here are the high temperatures, there are the lows. Let's compare that to normal. And so we're slightly higher than normal on both of those right on through the next 15 days. All right. And for those of you that watch this all the time, now's the time that I switch cameras. I've gotten much better on that move most of the time. But I'm only human, so what the heck. And let's see, where am I going? See, now I forgot where I'm going next. Oh, where I'm going next is going to Facebook. Now, for those of you watching on YouTube, we had some trouble getting this roll. I don't know what the deal was. Our engineers worked on it. We seem to have the problem with getting onto YouTube live and having it saved in the archive fixed. We'll know over the next couple of days. And once we are all comfortable with it, because it's not just me, we've got 4 other people. We've got Frank Marzullo, Catherine Bodak, Ashley Smith, and Ethan Emery. They all use this too. And once we're all comfortable with this, what we're going to do is then begin to work on how we can take comments and questions from those of you on YouTube. But right now, it's only on Facebook. So for those of you watching on Facebook, I'm trying to find, because I've got so many things open now. So, okay, let's see here. Okay, not to mention, Michael Schrader says, another amazing, beautiful evening. I'm wondering if you have a Jim Scott story to share. Absolutely. I worked with Jim Scott for many, many years, and my memory, and I never did pay attention to this, Michael, and everybody, my memory tells me that I first met Jim Scott through business connections in around 1980. Okay, I was at Channel 5 then. Jim Scott was at WSAI, the top 40 rock and roll station, and we kind of interacted at times with different charities and that we did. And Jim Scott was an amazing person. Jim Scott, whenever you heard him on the radio, if you met him in person or saw him emceeing something, Jim Scott was the same Jim Scott you would see anywhere and everywhere. He treated everybody equally. He was very, very kind. And so here's my Jim Scott story. This is great. I got two, actually. So I was, when I talked to him, Jim, when he first came to town, completely different era. Okay, no cell phones, no internet, none of that. The only way to get, the word out was either by mail, snail mail as we call it now. It was by word of mouth or by going to see people. Okay, so Jim Scott was on a motor scooter, and he went to many, many different neighborhoods around the city, and he would go door to door, knock on the door and say, "Hi, I'm Jim Scott. I would appreciate it if you listen to me on whichever radio station it was." I'm pretty sure it was WSAI at the time. And so that is, what a true professional will do. You've got to get the word out there. You've got to meet people face to face and look them in the eye. They can see what you're like that way. And then all that energy, just imagine how much energy it took to work a full-time job on radio and then spend that much more time going around on a motor scooter from neighborhood to neighborhood, knocking on doors and introducing yourself to people and asking them to watch. So that just tells you something about Jim Scott and Jim Scott's energy. The thing is, once Jim Scott established his career and became well known in that, he took all that energy that he was using to build his career and he used it to give back to the community. And I can't even begin to name the number of ways and the number of places that Jim Scott has given back, but he really did. So, and he's just a great person. I did the morning show at WKRC, Channel 12 for years, and he was the morning DJ on WLW radio at the time. And so I worked with him for 20 years or so. And one morning, this was on Thanksgiving Day, I used to do a live weather from down at the Thanksgiving Day race, and at this time, everything was done at Paul Brown Stadium, now Paycor Stadium, and so the restrooms and all that were available for people, and I was down there broadcasting live, and I had a radio cut to do, but I kind of forgot about it, and I had to use the facilities, so I flushed it, and they hit the live button, and I think I was the first person to ever flush a toilet live on WLW radio. And Jim Scott reacted just as you would expect Jim Scott to, with grace, with dignity, and he was a great guy. Everybody will really miss him. He was really a true gem in this community and a giant in radio broadcasting around here. Because he showed people what you have to do it, and then he fulfilled what he promised you he would. So I hope Jim Scott rests in peace because he was a great guy. I really liked him. Okay, Melvin Stone Street. He wanted some sunshine. Did I have a good weekend? Yeah, Melvin, I like to tell everybody that there are no such thing as bad weekends, just different kind of good weekends, and this was a pretty good one. Walked the dogs a lot. Got up really early on Saturday. I got up at 6 a.m. on Saturday, even though I didn't get home till 1 a.m. from work, so the dogs could walk and it wasn't so hot, but it was really humid. So I had a great weekend. Okay, and then Anthony Hart said, I hope you have a great night, Steve. Thank you, Anthony. I will. Rodney Sears, very beautiful day in Goshen. Rodney, I grew up in Loveland, and when I was growing up, we could actually ride our bikes on 28 out to Goshen because there wasn't that much traffic. Shows you how long ago it was. So I'm very familiar with Goshen. Goshen was like the Twin City to Loveland when I was growing up. And there are no more comments on Facebook at the present time. Okay, it is 7:44. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back over the forecast for you. Okay, I've got to see where I am, and we'll start off with the Climate Prediction Center stuff for those of you that may have tuned in late. and then we can go over that, and I'll check Facebook one more time after I get done going over the forecast again, and then we'll call it a day. So for all of you that are watching, wherever you're watching, whether it is Facebook, whether it is YouTube, on Roku, on Apple TV, there are a couple others that I probably missed. You can watch it via our weather app, our news app, or our website. And you can watch it on our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week streaming channel. I'm looking at it right here, and that's one of the buttons I have to push. I've forgotten it in the past. So you can watch that on our 24-hour, 7-day-a-week streaming channel, and you can get to that by going to our web, and it says Watch Live, and you'll see it if you do that. Okay, so let's go back to, let's see, I've got to load it. Okay, so here we go. The Climate Prediction Center says a little bit warmer than normal through the 11th of July. It says that kind of cool, that near normal area kind of fills in, and we're back to warmer than normal, or everybody is, from coast to coast except for southern Texas through the 15th. From the 13th to the 26th, it looks like coast to coast warmer than normal in the tri-state. And remember, warmer than normal weather means that to stay up with the demand, you need to have more rain than normal. We're going to be slightly wetter than normal, according to the forecast from the Climate Prediction Center, through the 11th of July. Through the 15th, same thing. Hasn't really changed much, still slightly wetter than normal. But from the 13th to the 26th, we go back to near normal. And again, slightly wetter than normal or near normal precipitation when we have a higher than normal demand just will not help us keep up. We don't have enough rain to keep up with the dry conditions in the forecast at the present time. Okay, so Tuesday, tomorrow, 58 for the low, a delightful morning. I'm going to be up early and walk the dogs before it gets hot because they love it when it's pleasant. 89 the high, 72 and 92 on Wednesday. It's the first alert weather day. On Thursday, 74 and 86, another first alert weather day. Now, the first alert weather day on Wednesday is for the possibility of severe thunderstorms, okay, in the late afternoon and evening. The main threat being straight line winds, hail, dangerous lightning, and a few heavy downpours. On Thursday, we may have some thunderstorm activity also. We do not expect it to be severe. We do expect it to have heavy rains, though, and heavy rain from time to time could be a problem on Thursday. But again, it's going to be spotty. I mean, it doesn't mean everybody's going to get heavy rain Thursday, but many of us will have our outdoor plans interrupted Thursday. Friday, scattered thunderstorms, just a few. Saturday, we'll probably drop those from the forecast the way it looks now. Sunday, mostly sunny, and Monday, isolated thunderstorms are back with a high temperature around 90. Beyond the 7-day, calls are upper 80s to lower 90s through the middle of the month. Lows in the 60s and 70s. And again, not as much rain as we really need. And here is that summary graphic. High temperatures a little bit above normal. So if we average all those out, it's going to end up a little bit above normal for the next 14 days. And same thing with the low temperatures, a little bit above normal for the next 14 days. Okay, let me take one more look here. Facebook, see if anybody else has got anything to say. Yeah, we got a few more in here. So Bridget Meyer-Felt says, do we expect rain tonight? Absolutely not. And Bridget, I hate to tell you to leave. I do this with the Cincinnati Reds all the time. Tell him, Derek, don't put the tarp on. You don't need it. And Derek says, I believe you, but we've got an early game. I just have to put it on. So we do not expect rain tonight, Bridget. You should be fine. I mean, you will be fine. There's no rain anywhere near us, so you shouldn't have to hassle with putting on the top. Tomorrow night, a different story, though. Barbara Engel, what is the design on your tie? Are they no, it's a sun, okay? I don't, and it is this is a tie from the Save the Children Foundation, and they were all designed by children. This one was designed by a young woman named Stephanie. She was 7, and she called it Cool Summer Sun. Cool because, now I don't know, if I get, this might, because the lighting isn't exactly right, I'm going to try and walk closer to the camera here rather than zoom the camera in. So I don't know if you can see these better or not, but they're sunshines with sunglasses on, so cool sunshine. And that was by a young woman named Stephanie, age 7 years old, and they were sold by the Save the Children Foundation to help put money in the bank and that, and buy food and clothing and stuff that makes children's lives better. Okay, let me see, any more? That's it. And so Barbara Engel, visit the sun, and that's what we have in the forecast tomorrow. Now, one more thing, then I'll go. I've been wearing weather ties for a long time, and one time my wife finally grabbed me and said, here's a bunch of ties. They're all dog ties. She was tired of seeing weather ties. So sometimes you'll see me, especially on Wednesdays when we have Paws for Miles from Loveland. It's a rescue organization, all volunteer. And when we have them on, we will, I often wear a dog tie. So that's it for now. Thank you very much. Have yourself a nice evening. I'll be back tomorrow at 7:15, and of course, I'll be on tonight at 10 on Fox 9.